What's up, man?
I don't know what that was.
No, I like it. I like it. How we doing today, bro?
Doing good, doing good. I'm repping my guy from the '90s, the rapper. I don't know if you remember that game on PlayStation 2. It was a rapping dog who would like. It was kind of like Dance Dance Revolution. Is that what it's called? Dance Dance Revolution, right? Yeah, it was. It was one of those. It was, man. It was a great game. Yeah, repping the rapper. Uh, this afternoon, and yeah, man, I'm doing good. How you doing? How's your evening?
Good. You know, weather's not too hot. Went for my daily coffee walk a couple hours ago, and lot of motion on the streets. The Cubs had their opener yesterday, and have one today against Colorado's in town. So a lot of people in my area walking to the game, but um, doing good, man. Just focusing on brick shit after work, and yeah, happy to be recording this first up. But speaking of sports, did you see the Clippers rebrand?
Yeah, I did see it. It looks pretty good. It's definitely different. These teams, especially a team like the Clippers, who isn't a bad team, but as someone who, I'm a casual sports fan. Uh, when I think Clippers, I think a losing record, right? And so yeah, I saw it, and I think it looks great because what they had going on right now looked very generic, very Kawhi Leonard, robot, mediocre, Ivado elements, right? So it's I was kind of impressed with it after looking at it for a few days. I like it, and uh, yeah, it's very interesting to see brands go from this very unique look to just being a minimalist brand. A lot of other fashion brands are doing that. They're all just using Helvetica Canoe to going back to having uniqueness. I don't know what that's about. I don't know other companies that are doing that at the moment. Who do you have in mind that kind of went to that transition?
Yeah, so that's a good point about Helvetica kind of taking over the space. I know I saw a post on social media a couple years ago, just bringing putting some eyes on the transition of like all these companies. I think this specific post was highlighting fashion brands, upscale fashion brands, so like Burberry, Saint Laurent. They're moving on from that stylistic, or like the cursive text with more character, to, like you're saying, Helvetica New, just kind of like a staple word mark. um but it's nice to see like the flavor and character coming back. It's not so boring and simple. So I think the Clippers rebrand is much needed. I think it's had a great reception so far from the fan base. It's gonna be good for the organization. It's going with their new Intuit Dome coming out next season, so it'll be good to couple with that. Got the logo pulled up now. Little subtle things about it. They have the in and Angeles right up top to point north. Pretty cool, design pull right there. Yeah, I think this is great for the organization, and long overdue. You're right. The Clippers aren't the most successful NBA team, but um, maybe this will get more eyes on them and just get more motion in that franchise.
Yeah, for sure, and definitely to get out of the shadow of the Lakers, because that building always pretty much been, even when it was the Staples building, has always been, a Lakers town. But it was crazy is, bro, you notice all those stadiums. I don't know if it's just a LA thing. All those stadiums are named after like fintech. Crypt is like Crypto Arena. Um, I forgot the other ones. Intuit. Um, the other one is not crossing. I don't know which one it is, but is it Chime or is that no, that's the Mavericks, I think, right?
Yeah, so I think the other one is for the Rams. It's SoFi Stadium. Um, yeah, man, fintech. They have their claws on on sports and the whole scene. Speaking of Chime and the Mavs, makes me think of not too long ago when Luca had his 73-point game. Post game, he was in the locker room or office wherever, and they went grab a piece of paper out the office and wrote 73 on it. And we'll throw up the photo now. He's holding it at his chest right here, and it's covering the majority of his jersey, and the only thing you can see is the Chime logo. And I thought that was significant just because for Chime to have that market space on such a accolade for that man's career, and just the team overall. It's pretty interesting how they made their way there, and just such a fintech, like them as a sponsor. It's pretty crazy how they've infiltrated NBA and sports in general.
Yeah, man. It's definitely cool. I don't know, but into it, man, they kind of suck, man. TurboTax sucks. Is that is it's such a horrible experience. It's April right now for the people that's listening to this in 10 years, but yeah, not good at all, man. Not a good place to do your taxes. Um, I would love to see like that as a design challenge. Like, how do you design that? I don't want to offend though that design team, but or that product team, because wow, man, that's not that good. I saw they just merged with Credit Karma, another. I don't even know what that is. I don't know if is it a fintech. It's Credit Karma fintech, but that's another one that's yeah, they suck. Very very low quality. You know, it's very it's very strange, but it's almost like you have to like just go to the government and do your taxes at this point, because TurboTax not it, but it's interesting all the money. I need to get some of that fintech money, man. It's, they doing some things.
Yeah, man. And then with just fintech and sports in general, it makes me think of Coinbase and specific commercial a few years ago with Bengals Rams. I think Joey B's second year Super Bowl. Coinbase threw up of a QR code. Um, you know, kind of paying homage to the old Windows XP screensaver, and they had the QR code bouncing left and right and stuff. 60-second ad cost them about $14 million, and then ended up crashing their site because so many people scanned it to to log on. um, it's pretty crazy how the QR code has made a comeback, right? Both of us are, familiar with it from our day jobs, but also just through COVID and the way of the modern world, digital world. The utility of the QR code has made a comeback. Day to day, you're going to restaurants, customer service businesses where you arrive, you scan a QR code, and that's the whole flow. It's the whole flow. Like, you pick what you want, you pay via the QR code, and that's that. So it's pretty interesting how the QR code, the utility, accessibility is putting people out of jobs. Some say it's for the better, it's making things easier, but also you know people losing jobs. And I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Uh, I mean, I like the QR codes. It has some convenience to it. Um, I don't know like most things in the tech space. I don't know if people lose their jobs, but they definitely their roles might expand or transition depending on that tech. And I think for most of these restaurants, well, that's where I see it the most. Restaurants. Um, I don't know if the task flow of you know of these QR codes are like streamlined enough. How do you how does one change a QR code, right? How do you change the actual link? What happens if the customer doesn't have a phone, or their phone camera doesn't work, or they don't have like a phone service, right? So there's tons of things that could come into place where you still gonna need an actual human being in place, and so I think it's definitely a comeback with QR codes. I think the first time, I don't even remember QR code. I don't know where they came from, but I remember I was in Venice Beach, like 20. I was in Venice Beach during the pandemic. I shouldn't have been there, but I was there, and yeah, that was the first. I was on the beach, ordered some food, and they had a system already in play. I'm like, bro, this COVID just happened like 3 weeks ago, and I'm in Venice. How are y'all already QR coding it up? Like that's kind of crazy. But I think you told me in the past about uh, you went somewhere and they had a QR code and they had a kind of a workflow worked out. How was that?
Yeah, man. Snakes and Lattes, Bucktown, Chicago, a few weeks ago with some friends. So we arrive at the place, and I should preface this place. Their whole get up is they have 7 to 800 board games in the back, and you arrive, and you play the board game as you eat and drink and shit. So um but we get there and we pull up the menu on our iPhones externally. What I mean by that is just like, probably went to the app, the Maps app, and Snakes and Lattes went to their website, and we're scrolling on the menu like that. That was our initial mistake. What we should have done was, there's a QR code, little pamphlet on the table. We didn't really see. That was, we messed up there. But so we're sitting there for a little while, and we see, what we thought were servers just walking about the building, throughout in the halls of the building. So we're like, what's going on? Why haven't we, been addressed? Turns out, like we're talking about, the QR code does it all. There are no servers. You scan the QR code, you pick what you want, you order it, and then at the end, before you leave, you got to pay your bill. So, and that was, one of several encounters that I've had with the QR code. Ironically enough, I think it started as like a um, preventative measure with cleanliness, germ spread with COVID, right? No physical paper menus. And I think it's turned into a utility piece where it's like, oh, this works. Like, why run from it? And like you're saying, businesses are kind of adapting to the digital world. It's putting boundaries on consumerism. So I shouldn't feel like I have to have this smartphone, but I do. And it's scary how far you can get with just the phone. You leave your house with your phone and your keys. I mean, a good chance any place you pull up on will be tap to pay, and you'll be straight. Um, but you shouldn't fault someone for not owning a up to date iPhone. But unfortunately, that's the case.
But I don't know, man. They're still kind of wonky to me. You know what I'm saying? Like how do you house a QR code? Like just signing up for some random website. Like there isn't an industry standard that I know of. You know, most of the QR codes I've made in the past have been just from shortcuts on a Mac, but I still think there there needs to be some way to develop it further to make that task flow a lot easier, um, for the consumer and whoever that business owner is. I wonder why Foursquare never used QR codes. Like, you know, like, or just check in, just like wherever, just check it in places.
Yeah, speaking of advancements in tech, not very relevant to our daily use, but still, pretty cool. Microsoft Paint just came out with an update. I think this is, interesting just because. the barrier of entry with design tools has, the learning curve has increasingly become less and less. And what I mean by that, with the introduction of tools like Canva, um, this allows, more of the masses to kind of get in there, get their, hands dirty, being creative, and allowing them to express those, artistic, expressions, or passions, building a business, right, like designing social graphics and stuff. um, Microsoft Paint specifically isn't something that, you and I would use, but it's still pretty cool that um, in-house, or, a program that comes on a PC is available to someone who may not know that they have passion for design, and they can get in there and start messing around, and then that will lead to them purchasing the Adobe suite, or, opening up Figma. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, it is, man. The more tools are accessible to everyone, it just overall makes the landscape stronger, um, and it gets people not only to be creative, but to do more design thinking. A lot of the issues we have in just society in general could be solved with design thinking, more collaboration, uh, and just ultimately critical thinking skills. So like making a lot of designers might have an issue with Microsoft Paint or a Canva, but in all actuality, it's just like a almost like a gateway drug, right? It's a gateway drug into something more serious because like the level we're in the game of design, I'm not really concerned with the baby shower flyers or the club flyers, right? Like that's I would never, I would have to charge 3 grand for an hour, right? So, um, but for all those people who get that Microsoft Paint, get that Canva, and they fall in love and transition and learn more. It's all about that problem solving. A lot of times people confuse that creativity with just self expression. In all actuality, you're solving a problem for that end user, and that's what Microsoft did. They solved the problem. I remember when I first started design as a kid. Um, I I had to start in PowerPoint instead of Microsoft Paint, right? So um, I was doing amazing stuff in that tool. So yeah, man, it's definitely great. Oh, but did you also see that Canva is, just bought Affinity Designer, um,
Mm. No, I
which
didn't see that.
yeah, man, it's they just bought Affinity. It's a great tool that I've had on my list to purchase. I haven't got around to it, but wildly affordable. I think it's about $150 right now to get all three tools. It's actually, if you take a look at it, it's actually it's their designer tool. Then they have uh, Affinity Photo and Publisher, which is essentially Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign. Which, come on, that's all you really need, right? Um, so I think that's a great move for Canva to do that. While I'm not a Canva user, the times I have used it, nobody was the wiser. Nobody could tell the difference. So um, I think moves like that are just great. Just make a stronger design community, and yeah, yeah. Um, but man, Adobe lost that Figma. That was. I
I
know.
saw that. What
I
was
know
that
what you.
about? Because I saw like they essentially broke the internet with the announcement of a partnership, and then it crumbled. What happened with that?
Man, I think the UK, they didn't approve the deal. They thought it would be a monopoly, which I mean It was.
Yeah, they're not wrong. Yeah.
So, but it's crazy, man. It's crazy how these companies, they get so big. What is it? Where I'm located, uh, uh, Figma with taxes, what, $21 a month? I mean, it was Figma is such a great tool. You can do everything there. I know we're at our day jobs. We're trying to make a transition to only using Figma and trying to figure that out. Um, we just need more competition, because I know for a lot of people that $60 a month is a doozy for that creative cloud. And I remember at one point, man, you had to go to Pirates Bay and just get you a copy, a cracked copy, because that thousand something dollars was not an option. To man, I can't forget it, man. A HP. I remember I had the HP with the Beats by Dre in it. I remember LeBron had that. Shout out to, we just talking about the Lakers, right? But yeah, and getting on Pirates Bay, getting it going with them torrents, to paying $60 a month. Man, you have to like try to cancel your account every every 3 months, man, to get a break from that. So especially if freelance wise, you're not getting it going to cover that cost. Thank
Yeah, man.
thank the Lord. Thank the Lord for
It's
a stable job, man.
hey, it's a monopoly. There's no other way to put it. I mean, but something that I know you've been always been an advocate about. It's the designer, right? It's the creative in themselves. It's not so much the tool. Now, what these new programs are allowing people to do, at a cheaper price, web based. Figma, you can do shit right in your browser. It's really cool to see. As someone who has pirated Adobe software in the past, um, you know, looking back on it, it kind of hurts me to think about ways I was thinking when Canva kind of broke the market. This is like 2020 or something like that. I was low key kind of salty because there were, like, back to like the barrier of entry, where all these newcomers were having access to such a great tool that I was, kind of jealous, low key. Like they didn't have to put in all the time to learn Photoshop and, learn how to layer mask and all that shit. They can just do it with, a click of a button, right? All these programs are leveraging AI. That's where we're moving. So, um, but back to, something I know you've always felt strongly about is just, um, it's not so much what program you're using. It's just, what's going on up here. And obviously having a strong tool is important, but back to, you talked about your first HP laptop. Um, when was it when you first got a MacBook? Did that change the game for you or what?
Oh man, did it? Did it change the game? Man, I never look back. I never look back. A lot of people right now are, kind of hating on. I think they're more hating on the iPhone. Saying that it's not a superior product to others by the ecosystem that Apple has built. But I'll tell you one thing: a man in his MacBook. Man, I done been some places. I done been some places with a MacBook, man. Literally, like it's been in my freelance days, I remember it being the 28th, and a design or two, boom, that rent's paid. Like my MacBook, I live by it. It goes everywhere for the most part with me. Um, it's a great product. And even though it's not about the tool, it's all about the design thinking. Design thinking is so important. Critical thinking is so important, um, and having empathy is extremely important. But yeah, my MacBook is a game changer for sure.
Yeah, a man in his MacBook. It's a beautiful sentiment right there. I'm calling it. That's the title of the title of the first episode.
Yeah.
Um,
My baddest MacBook.
yeah, I was blessed with my first MacBook back in late 2015, and it also, you know, uh, elevated my career. It gave me opportunities that I hadn't had prior, um, and also like the ecosystem. I'm just a fan of the Apple OS and over Windows. Using it, as you know, I use a Windows PC for the day job, and then switch to the MacBook post, but I just feel more like a creative using an Apple product, um, and I love that, and that's why I always use their products. I'm due for an upgrade, long overdue for an upgrade. I just saw recently, not too long ago, Apple stopped production. They just pushed out their M3 chip models, and they stopped production on the M1 MacBook Air model, and interestingly enough, Walmart picked it up. They're selling it right now.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so Walmart has sold Apple products in the past, headphones, iPhones, everything else, chargers and shit, but never a MacBook computer. So this is the first one that they're coming on the market with. Pretty cool to see. We're talking about just accessibility and barrier of entry. I think a MacBook Air is a perfect product for someone who wants to, first, get their feet wet in the Apple OS, and specifically for people who do a lot of browser based work, emails, spreadsheets, right, shit like that. Um, I don't know. It's cool to see, and it's at a great price point, $699. So, uh, yeah,
Oh man.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get on that, man. I got I just recently purchased a MacBook. My other MacBook that took me places. It committed suicide, but trigger warning. It you know it got tired of me. Jumped out my hands. But yeah, I'm gonna have to get on that, man. That's a good deal, just to have. Like as much as we work, we work pretty hardcore when it comes to the work we do. Shit, $6.99. I would just have that just in the closet, ready to go. Buy it as a gift, give it to someone, for Christmas before they sell out and they're gone for good, man. But that's a great deal for sure.
yeah. The 8 gig RAM couldn't really get us far with the Photoshop, Illustrator work that we do, but I'm sure it could handle quite a bit that you throw at it. And you're right, it would serve as a great gift to a dear friend, sibling, whatever it may be. So Walmart.com, folks, 699 MacBook Air M1. Um, yeah, man.
What's so crazy, bro? All this Diddy stuff. Let's get in on the algorithm real quick, right? Let's get in with it, right? So I've done work for Revolt for several years, right? And I worked on the Love album. I did a lot of the marketing decks for the Love album, like years ago. That album was in the works for years, and to see like all these freakazoids, these drug mules, this Lil Rod guy, all this just freaky zest that's happening. It's like it's so crazy to sit back that I was actually in Puerto Vallarta working on a lot of these decks. Literally, I feel like I was some way like zest out too because I was in Mexico in this Airbnb, like in the water with my laptop, like working on the Diddy album, and this guy's like a mad creep. Like he's doing just weird stuff. And it's like, damn, like am I complicit in helping Diddy like be a freak, right? Like making these decks, like I literally whole for years now. I'm like, man, he has all this campaign, the Love album. I designed the Love Records logo, and it's like this dude is like zest, like the soap. It's so crazy, bro. It's so crazy that I have to like live like this now. Like I have to go the rest of my life. Like, oh, where did you work? Oh yeah, I worked at Revolt. Oh, what did you work on? Oh, I worked on the Diddy Love album. Oh, his last album before he got freaky. Yeah, that album. Like, man, that shit is so like I can't even use it, like use it with the ladies, right? Like I can't be like, I worked with Diddy, Bad Boy. Yeah, I did that. I can't even do that now. He's a creep. like, like, wow.
Ugh, that's hilarious. I mean, okay, let's be real. At the time, hell of a gig, right? I
Yeah,
mean, come on. Uh, but yeah, I mean, obviously, your perception of the whole situation is more personable and a little different than the mass audience on Twitter.
yeah.
Twitter's having a field day with this shit, man. Some of the shit that I'm seeing, uh, just hilarious. But yeah, I don't know. That's a whole none of my business. Uh,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean that's I don't know.
He
Yeah,
did. They did pay on time.
there you go.
I will say that. So shout out to Detavio. Whoever hears this, yeah, they know who Detavio is. They can look him up. So shouts out to him. He's a great man. So the payments already all came on time, and they were very good. They paid well. So I can see how Diddy got away for so long, and I see how he paid Cassie so quickly because he paid me very quickly as well. Little old me. So there is, like I don't know what you call that. There's a caveat to it, I guess. He's a great payer.
Yeah. He has his money. Um, yeah, yeah. That's actually a. I'm glad you brought that up because I remember you telling me that you had that project and in light of recent news, um, I'm sure when it first broke, you were a lot of thoughts were running through your head about just your project that you worked on. So,
Yeah.
um, but obviously that was a different time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man. To cap us off real quick, I want to throw this thing on Discord. This post at the top. Just get your thoughts on it. So, working on a personal project is torture. No design you make is good enough. Um, I know, you personally as a designer, you're extremely talented. You're also very, I feel like you're very, critical of yourself, and that's what makes you just a great person, great artist, great designer, etc. How do you overcome this, and how do you continue to push forward, whether it be a personal project or client work? Because I know we've both spoken off air. You'll do something for a client, and those 24 hours you'll be hard behind it. Fast forward a week or so and you're looking back on your Illustrator canvas and you're like, what the hell is this? So basically, how do you push forward, with just being super critical about your work personally, but also just like how do you reach a point where you're proud to put something out?
Um. Well, that's a good question, and for me personally, my mantra is creativity is the precursor to abundance, and the more you invest in that creativity, the more you'll get from it. And uh, a lot of people don't really understand that the critique is necessary. You know what I'm saying? Like the critique is a very necessary thing to the process. This whole thing we did today, like I brought up design thinking. Critique is the missing piece to design thinking. And um, I welcome critique. I want it to be torn apart. I want everything to be criticized, looked at, turned over. I want everything to have meaning. We live in a world, especially with the canvas, where meaning is not everything's aesthetic. Like most things don't have actual meaning to it on why this is done, you know. So um, it's just important to yield the results you need from whatever it is. As human beings, when you have that story, when you have that meaning, even when that client or that end user doesn't even know that story, there's something on a metaphysical level where they grasp onto it beyond just the brand story. Like having every single thing have a meaning, have a reason why, even if it goes against whatever those design principles are, having that substance, I think is important, and you can only get to that through critique. So even with me working with you or our other teams, I never concern myself with, hey, I'm the big dog on the team, or I have the most experience, because that don't mean shit. That don't mean anything, right? That my design, tear that shit apart. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that the pixels, everything is in place, so that end user, because that end user is going to notice it. That end user, even though they have horrible taste, they don't understand design, they're stupid enough to where they're going to see every mistake and understand why. So to avoid that, to have a perfect experience, yeah, we need to critique as much as possible and streamline and keep it as simple as possible. I'm pretty sure I'm talking to something that Dita Rams talks about, but that minimalist look, that just elegant feel, making sure everything makes sense, having empathy for that end user, man. It's too important, bro. And literally, like, it's not about, senior or director, it's everybody can contribute to that process. And yeah, man, it's so necessary.
Love that, man. Well, I sure hope the fucking viewers stay this long because that was strong. I love your take on that. I think, um, like you're saying, you can only be so strong on yourself, but also with output, your output into the world. Attention spans are so short now, and it's so unfortunate that media has driven them to such a small capacity. But um, with our designs and our our artwork that we put out, we have to kind of abide by, we do have to acknowledge trends and certain ways of art forms and delivery methods. So um I think that, like you're saying, like, you do have to go through that critique process to arrive at something you're proud of. And I think as you grow as a creative, that process becomes um just you become more accepting to that process rather than like opposed to it. I know when I was starting out, um, I was so hard on myself for so long, and I wouldn't arrive at an end state that I was proud of. Now I look forward to the progress of that critical piece. As we meet as a group every week to talk about our personal projects. We critique each other. We give each other constructive criticism. That's very important to me. I value very much of what you think. So just to get your thoughts on the project and what I'm working on, it means a lot. So um, just getting to something that you're proud of, it's a great feeling. And I think like kind of like that saying, like, your old work will be your, what is it, like, your old work will be your best work until your new work is your old work, or something, some bullshit like that. I think about that a lot because it's true. There's stuff that I did a mere 2 years ago that I look at like, what was I thinking? And then maybe like next year, I'd look at that same project and be like, damn, that's kind of hard. So it you really kind of fluctuate with it. And yeah, I think just growing in public is a big piece. I think that's something that we're going to be, very transparent about with Brick Talk. Talking to people of the internet. It is kind of like a growing in public thing, right? We're going to speak our thoughts and learn together, grow together. So very excited where this takes us. People, the internet that are y'all listening, Brick Talk coming in your inbox once a week. Melton and I are very excited to kind of go on this creative endeavor together. So, yeah, Melton, you want to sign us off?
Hey, we're signed off. Brick Talk, episode 1.